Okay, we are going to close the executive session and move into our public meeting. Welcome, everybody, to the October 2nd Port of Bellingham Commission meeting. We're going to start our public meeting with a roll call. I will say Commissioner Briscoe.
Here.
Commissioner Shepard.
Here.
Commissioner Bell. All commissioners present and accounted for. We're going to start with a public comment period. There are going to be two public comment periods, one now and one again at 5:30. Anybody wishing to speak before the commission has got 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the number of people.
We don't
Anybody
have
sign up?
anyone signed up.
Anybody want to say anything? No? Then we will close the public comment period. I will note that it is nice to see a little bit more balance between the left and the right. Thank you, Don. Consent agenda, shall we start there?
A motion to approve consent agenda items A through H.
Commissioners, do you have a desire to pull anything, get clarification?
No, I don't.
Absolutely nothing on my part either. So, yeah, shall we just vote on the consent agenda?
I didn't hear.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Consent agenda approved. Now we can adjourn the meeting. Presentations on new rules and regs for the Bellingham International Airport. Just don't add any more Homeland Security people or checkpoints, please. Don't make me take one more thing out of my bag.
Not my area of responsibility.
Yeah, I know. I actually read the agenda, so we're good.
So good evening, Commissioners. My name is Aaron Collins. I'm the General Aviation Operations Training Supervisor for the airport. We're here today to give you a brief presentation on the action item and the resolution that's in front of you today for the approval of the airport's updated rules and regulations. So let's begin. It was always the airport's goal in the beginning to ensure that our airport rules and regulations met the industry standards, that we were consistent with the industry. How we accomplished this was we benchmarked airports regionally and nationally to ensure that was consistent. The airport also incorporated federal regulations between FAA and Department of Homeland Security. And through this whole process, staff appropriated a considerable amount of time for public comment. This is very important. One of those tools we used was our advisory committees, the Technical Airport Advisory Committee and the Bellingham International Airport Advisory Committee. Now, with these advisory committees, we use them as platforms to open up the dialogue with the community, with airport users. This was a very successful strategy and a very successful tool. We received excellent feedback from both committees about how collaborative and transparent that process was. So let's look at the steps of completion. This project has been going on for over a year now, or close to a year. We've had 6 drafts that we have submitted for review to the public. We've addressed all public comment, whether that came in verbal or written. We've had 12 public meetings where we've discussed these rules and regulations. I have personally presented at 12 committee meetings on every draft of the rules and regulations. And finally, we exceeded expectations. We exceeded the expectations of the staff, we exceeded expectations of stakeholders, and we exceeded expectations of the nation's largest advocate for general aviation. That's the Aircraft Owners and Pilot Association, the AOPA. So now on to the good stuff, the approval. I just mentioned the AOPA, and we received a letter of support from them back in August of 2018. And I just want to do a couple quotes for the folks at home here that haven't seen this. The AOPA is quite pleased to support the latest revision of the airport rules and regulations. The final document meets the needs of all parties, and the tactful diplomatic collaboration that took place is a model for all airports engaged in such a process. This was a glowing support letter, a very favorable one. It's important to note, Commissioners, that the AOPA is the largest advocate for GA. They have over 400,000 members. They have been involved in updates for airport rules and regulations across the nation. So they're basically a self-proclaimed expert in rules and regulations. For us to receive this type of letter of support really shows how we have exceeded that expectation. So more approval. Short 2 weeks ago, the Bellingham International Airport Advisory Committee unanimously approved our rules and regulations with 7 in favor, 0 against. The TAC committee decided to table the vote. They did not provide the port with any comments or any explanation on why they tabled the vote. Finally, the Port Legal Department or Legal Counsel had their sufficiency review, and they approved our rules and regulations. Finally, our commercial terminal stakeholders. These are our airlines, Allegiant, Alaska, Horizon, our rental car companies, our concessionaires, Scotty Brown's, Halibut Henry's, have no objections to these rules and regulations.
Aaron, why that tabling?
Great question by both commissioners. Again, they did not provide us any comment or
I want to ask the
explanation.
question too.
Great comment. Great question.
I didn't attend as many TAC meetings as I attended BIAC, but I heard more opposition at the BIAC meetings and more just critical questioning from members. I'm very pleased to see, that we attained unanimous support there. And I'm just wondering if we had the same level of critique coming from TAC or not.
My apologies. Let me correct you, Commissioner. You were attending the TAC committees. Those were the morning meetings. The BIAC meetings are in the evening at 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry then. Had my committees.
Yes, the Bellingham International Airport Advisory Committee is made up of neighborhoods and communities. The Technical Airport Advisory Committee is primarily businesses or tenants of the airport.
Okay.
Again, they didn't offer us any comment. We haven't received a comment from the TAC committee in approximately 3 months on the rules and regulations.
Were you at the TAC meeting where they tabled it?
Yes, I was.
So is it safe to say that we had a couple of people that objected and convinced others to table the vote?
We had 3 voting to table the vote and 2 abstaining.
So it's a 5-member committee?
I believe it's 8. We had missing parties there. Any other questions on that?
No, I just think,
time.
I think maybe we need to attend a couple more of those meetings then as commissioners for the TAC.
Okay, sounds good. Well, that's basically the end of my slideshow, Commissioners. In the end here, in conclusion, the Aviation Division believes that we have created this fair and equitable document that safeguards our public asset. We have done this in a collaborative and transparent way. We've taken our time. We haven't been flying under the radar. And our recommendation is for you to approve the action item today.
I should turn that on.
Your best guess, do you feel there's much opposition left there, or just 1 or 2 people, or, I know I was contacted before I was gone for the summer, and I spoke with a group of people who were adamantly against some of the stuff we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that at least one of those persons is on the TAC. And I understand what you've done, and by the way, thank you, you've done a very good job. It sounds like it was very thorough. I'm a little concerned with a tabled vote from the TAC committee, and maybe some insight for us up here. Are there still some people with very big concerns about these rules, or just little things?
Well, Commissioner, if you want my opinion, I feel that there are a few members on the TAC committee that will not vote one way or the other.
Okay, and that's what I want. I want you've been there, I got a little insight from you.
Yes. And we've worked through many issues with the TAC. I mean, they have actually been a great partner in this process. In the beginning, right now, aircraft owners cannot take the cowling off their aircraft. They can't pop the hood to change their oil to perform preventative maintenance. The TAC committee brought that up to us, and we have changed that in the new rules and regulations, making it less restrictive, looking at the federal regulations, which allows 39 preventative maintenance items they can do on their own aircraft.
Okay.
We put that in the rules and regulations. Experimental pilots also could not build experimental aircraft in their hangars, and the TAC committee brought that to our attention. That is now in the rules and regulations. All they have to do is fill out a form, check in with us, and now they can build experimental aircraft. The TAC committee has been a great asset because they are the technical advisors. They've really helped push this document all the way through. Again, at this time, I'm receiving no comments from the TAC. I have nothing less left to change in those rules and regulations.
Okay. Well, you answered my questions exactly what I wanted to hear. Three out of the four things you mentioned were the things that were talked to me about, that people were upset about. So that's why I was asking that question. I was trying to get a feel for what was actually done, and thank you. And we're never going to make everybody 100% happy, but I think you've done a very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you give us a feel for what the nature of some of the outstanding issues might be? I don't want every nitpicky thing, but are there any large items that they're still,
Isn't one of them that we have a former judge that is objecting to us ceding control to, look at Frank holding his head, he's worried that we're ceding control to the FAA that should be local or something like that? I mean, that's the primary objection of this individual.
Yes, there is one individual that does have an objection to the language, which requires the airport to follow federal, state, and local laws. This individual feels that they should only have to follow federal regulations. I have done plenty of research on this, commissioners. Every port that I have looked into in the state of Washington mentions federal, state, and local regulations. This is actually part of our grant assurances. Grant assurance 6, 7, and 8, I believe, actually mention that we have to concern ourselves with local regulations. So this is not just a
Fire code and, you know.
International Fire Code, the Department of Ecology. I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole.
well, on that note, then, at this point, I'm okay with everything that you've got going forward, the TAC. If that's the objection,
I'm
we as the
satisfied.
commission, we're good with it.
I don't have any
I'm
more
good with it.
questions.
Yeah, well, now that I know which committee meeting I was attending, yeah, it's,
I have to put like a beeper on you or what?
maybe like a little reader board or something.
Who's where you are now.
Yeah.
Give him a hat that says I'm here.
At that meeting, last meeting I was at, there was, there were some questions brought up and seemed like some impasses on a couple of things, but I don't think the impasses we were at are things that we can move on. And so I've certainly, when it comes to fire safety, I think you guys have done the right thing with pointing to there's perfect ability for individual tenants to make contacts with the fire marshal and work out agreements that are acceptable to our organization and the fire marshal. And I know some folks want more leniency than that, but I don't think that we're able to do that. And I don't think it's prudent for us to either. I do feel like we've made good effort to hear concerns, and I think you guys have done a good job of taking in consideration all the questions that have been brought up. And I really do think we've met most of those pretty directly. So I think it's been a good process overall.
Thank you.
I echo that. I think we've gone above and beyond, and I think you guys have done an amazing job. So with that, are you done?
I am done. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So I think we're going to move on to the vote, and before we do that, I want to make sure you know where you are.
We have a public
You have to have
hearing.
a public hearing, yeah.
Okay.
So you got to know where you are.
All right, we're now going to recess. We're going to close the public hearing on the BLI rules and regulations and reconvene the public meeting.
Sorry, we haven't anyone signed up to speak during the public hearing. Did you ask
Oh,
for comments?
see, you flustered me now.
Sorry.
Now that we're open the public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on this topic has got time? Anyone wishing to speak?
It's kind of like a wedding thing, isn't it?
Now we will
Before you say I do.
close the public hearing on the BNI rules and reconvene the public meeting. All right, action items?
A motion to approve Resolution 1379, adopting the new Bellingham International Airport rules and regulations, replacing Resolution Number 1065, and rescinding the Bellingham International Airport rules and regulations adopted in year 1997.
Any questions? I have none. I have none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous. Okay, Aaron, how'd you like Anchorage? It was great. I was there at the same time. I was actually there when you were there. You could actually see Denali. Oh, yes, it was beautiful.
How about De Niro?
Okay, so we're done, and we've got other business.
I would respectfully ask we recess to executive session for talks, so we have ended this meeting so quickly. Continue what we were speaking to, the subject full of fresh on our mind. If we don't, I don't have a little bit of
Sounds acceptable to me.
I'm okay with that, too. I think, do you have anything that you want to discuss amongst the commission?
My only point was I just wanted to recognize everyone who worked on the Great Sea Feast this year. I thought it was really well received. The weather was a little bit challenging, but we persevered. So thanks to the Commercial Fishing Association, the Sea Feast Committee, and port staff who helped put this on, and Lummi Nation who all participated. I really had a great time. The dinner was delicious, and it was great attendance as well.
I'd like to echo that. Port staff for the last, well, since Sea Feast has started, has gone above and beyond the call of duty to be there in the rain and the crummy weather and late in the evenings and the next day cleaning up the mess, and I commend staff for that. It's very applaudable, and everyone that I've spoken to that has interactions with the staff during that has said nothing but good things, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. It's pretty easy to get on board with a program like this when you have such a great team at Sea Feast. The Grangers and everyone else do an incredible job of putting this event on. It takes a ton of volunteer time, and people are stepping up, and I think our community should be very proud that, first of all, the Tourism Bureau started to kind of kick this off by requesting an event. The hotel tax helps to fund it, and some city money along with Port and other sponsors. So truly a community event, and I think it's only going to grow and get bigger.
Agreed.
Yeah, the only disappointment I've got is that the Best of Bellingham magazine came out this year, and the best festival was not the Sea Feast, so next year we will fix
Who's the
that.
best festival?
It was, I know the fair was second. Oh, Sea to Ski. Sea to Ski, but I think next year we can put on a pretty good challenge to beat the fair and to beat the rest of them, and I'm going to make sure we spearhead that.
Well, that's only because the oyster slurping got shut down, or it would have been better.
We'd have been ahead.
Yeah, we would have.
No, so when it comes time to do the voting next year for the Best of Bellingham, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I've got no other business.
I'm correct that this is Deb's last year running, taking leadership on this?
I think she's going to try and hand off the baton to others. Yeah, but I'm not sure that's official. She's announced that, but I'm sure she'll stay involved at some level. I just don't think she wants to be in charge of it all.
Well, she's done a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
for sure.
Do we have a say in that?
Yeah,
I don't think we do. I think she has all the say in that, but I'll keep you guys up to speed as to what she decides to do, and we'll certainly recognize her if she decides to do something different.
One question for Director Fix. We're ahead of schedule on our Stephen Blainer cleanup, correct?
Do we have a cleanup update? Yep, there we go. Brian's here.
Thank you, Commissioners. Brian Gowan, Director of Environmental Planning Services. Yeah, that's correct, Commissioner. We are ahead of schedule on the environmental cleanup at the Blaine Marina Tank Farm. From what I understand, the majority of the excavation is complete, and they're now into backfill and site restoration components now. So I think part of the last decisions now as to what's the top surfacing going to be in certain areas. Is it going to be gravel? Is it going to be pavement? And the environmental folks are working with the real estate team to make sure that whatever the final finishing is compatible with the, the site, planned site uses out there. So,
Very good, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that we announce all the committee meetings before we do recess. The Marine Advisory Committee is Tuesday, October 9th at 6 p.m. in the Harbor Chamber Building. The Technical Airport Advisory Committee is Thursday, November 8th at 9:30 in the ARF Conference Room. That's November 8th. Bellingham International Airport Advisory Committee, the BIAC, is Thursday, November 8th in the ARF Conference Room. If anybody wants to go participate in those, as you can see, we get something good out of those meetings. That being said, I'm now going to close this public meeting and recess the public meeting until we get a chance to have a discussion to continue what we were discussing earlier in executive session. That section's going to last about a half hour. At 5:30, we'll return to close the executive session and reconvene the public meeting so that we can take public comment as the commission has requested. And there will be no action taken by the commission during this executive session. The staff, we're going to talk pending litigation, labor and management contracts, and that's pursuant to RCW 42.30.110.
So my understanding from Commissioner Briscoe is we want to talk about the real estate matter we were just discussing. So I think we're going to put the labor and the pending litigation off, and then we're just going to discuss this real estate matter where we have an offer and discussing rates on some property.
Perfect.
And Commissioners, it's going to be a half hour. It's going to be a half hour, and the factors that go into affect price will be the demand for the real estate, the various economic benefits of the proposed tenants, and that will affect price. And so we're going to be discussing price under 4230-110 for about a half hour, and then reconvene at 5:30.
For public comment, we have no other business to discuss after that. All right.